Yo, what's up guys? Time for Siege, and it's going to be a different kind of Siege, because we're going to be using 10 Gildongs. Might you ask, first of all, say, why the hell do you have 10 Gildong? Well, Gildong is the easiest 4-star on water to skill up, and therefore he's very easy to get extra points in world boss. However, nowadays in the high ranks, most people have about like 60-ish water net 5s fully skilled up, so they're not having any use as of anymore. But back in the days, these were mainly my world boss kind of units with just all kinds of runes. Well, currently I de-runed a bunch of them, but they were all having stats like this for just getting high stats. Works for world boss. However, Gildong recently got buffed, so the thing that's added to his skill 3 is afterwards increase the attack bar by 10%. It is not that bad. It's kind of like a Shiho, but a little bit different. And for the people that know me from way back, these are videos of like 4 years ago. I did this before where I went 10 Gildongs into Siege. I did do that in G3 Siege. But in this case, we're actually going to do it against guilds that are both top 10. And it's been a long time since I did that, so the meta has definitely changed a lot. So let's see with this buff. Is it actually good or is it just for fun? Let's go into the hits. These hits are all pre-recorded, so I'm going to be showcasing the runes on all of them. You can pause the video at any given moment that you want, and I will be explaining what the idea was behind the team. So in this case, we have a Mir in combination with a Chloe in combination with a Gildong, and the Gildong is going to be on damage. So the main idea is Chloe's going to be fast. I'm going to be putting up protection of immunity and invisibility. I have the shields from the Mir, so therefore the strip that is on the other side can probably not strip as much. It was still able to strip most things, which wasn't as great, but we also have the Chloe for the protection for just healing in there, but also being the lifeline of being attacked by the figure on the enemy side. And that S2 is also, I think it was buffed at some point as well to give the stun regardless of despair. So it's on the Fio set right now, but he's doing pretty good damage. It's kind of by the odds of like how early do you land. The defense break kind of gives me vibes of like an Assure or something. It's like an Assure in combination with a attack bar boost in combination with a Shiho, so it's a little bit of everything on that skill 3 over there. Cooldown is relatively short though, and if you do get those hits in, it actually does hurt. Like, is this really a team I would recommend people to use? I'm not too sure about it, but it can kind of work, as you see over here. Next hit, we're gonna go for a Gojo plus a Giana into the Gildong itself. Definitely a little bit more of a premium hit, just a little bit more premium right there, but it's definitely a fun hit nevertheless. So the idea is, I don't think they would outspeed me, so with this, I can just simply do that. It would have been actually nice if I had the Gilding move in front of the Giana, so if there's something to leftover strip, I can do that with that unit. But in this case, I just use it for going for a guaranteed kill right there. But it would have been nice if Gildong moved in front, and then I could have used it for actually dealing damage. In this case, the enemy team was pretty slow, so did not really have that much of a threat in the first place. I could just simply clean it up with the LDs, and sure, I will be using a few LDs here and there. Then the next hit is going to be Gildong triple fight. He's just there for a lifeline support in this case. Attack lead that he has on the 28. And we do have Bastet with a stronger boost on a 30 right now. I don't think that my Grogan was fully in tune, but I was only checking for a tune on 2 units right there. And it's a pretty massive boost. And from here, we get a lot of attack bar, attack buff. Main ideas, I have to kill the Grogan as long as, or not the Grogan, I have to kill the Beelzebub. As long as I kill the Beelzebub, I'm good to go from here. And that thing still really smacks, like the damage output of that unit. He is squishy though, he is squishy. We will see that later. Moving on to the next hit, which is going to be the idea of if they outspeed me and they hit me, I will outspeed them by the more. And therefore I can place a despair stun and potentially make the Layla move. Well, I did not strip Jack Shite, which doesn't really help in the first place over here. But at least I got silences in there. Plus, there's also a good bit of debuffs on these units with Death Break, plus also the S2 for slows and potential stunts. So I have a good bit of bar gain for the Layla, and that was the main idea behind it. Because over here, you also see like Layla pretty much getting like 80 bar just from an S2 on the Gildong. So it has a nice combination over there. And then from here, it's just like clean up mechanics, clean up shenanigans, just trying to get those hits in, trying to get as much damage in, and when they're stunned and silenced and slowed and glanced and everything like that, it's not really that hard. So far, the cooks on the team, not that bad as of yet. Because for some of those hits, I had to be like, I gotta be kind of creative because those are the things that you normally don't use at all. And I did not really force myself into hitting easy things. I just hit everything that I could. As mentioned, doing that against everything that I find. In this case, the main idea was we have the Orochi boosting the speed by the speed lead towards the Robo. Robo can hopefully go for an S2, S3 rotation. We actually see 0 will runes, which is really chill for the Robo, because then you can start away with pushbacking right away. And you can land all 3 of those, which is really nice as well. But we don't really do that in this case. However, we're still super fast. Orochi has an insane amount of damage output as well. I think I should do, I will do the S2 over here. That makes pretty much the guaranteed kill, as long as you don't start healing. But in this case, we did not have as much damage on the Gildong as we had with previous ones, because this one was just a bit more speedy focused. In this case, it is definitely the option that the Morris could go for a revive if he survives, but he doesn't. Then this one over here, which was definitely one that I don't like to be hitting with Gildong, because Sierra, of course, will bomb the Gildong. But the main idea is going to be as following. We have a Nemesis will on the Gildong to actually get Nemesis triggered from the Laura S3 and therefore hit the John. And then the 2 other units can clean up the whole fight. That was the main idea. There is one thing that you might already be thinking of, which could be an issue. And that is, say, what if Laura's Vio? Well, what are the odds that Laura's Vio, she goes for an S3, S2, and then also lands the S2 on a low rate? Well, exactly over there. It's like, fuck? That's not supposed to do. The idea behind it was really good, though. We do miss the bomb over there. Also, funny enough, the bomb from the John had near to no damage, so it was like a full tanky team or something like that. I have no clue why that John did absolutely no damage whatsoever. The Akroma is pretty much on a 0 speed version, higher damage of my RTA build of just getting as much damage in as possible. We are getting reset, but we do also have this silence over here. So I kind of had to play around with the silence on both units. That luckily did get resisted. There is 100 res on this, or no, is it 100 res? No, it's like 86 res on this Leo. We are in torrent range right now. There's not too much damage on him because, well, you gotta survive at some point, right? So then we just try to clean up and all Gildong, boys. All Gildong, all Gildong. Like, he did everything right there. Then, as mentioned, we're hitting everything. So we're hitting arguably the strongest defense of, well, prior balance patch. And we're gonna go in with triple water on super fast with the Susanoo lead. And then we go Shiho plus the Gildong in this case. And the idea is kill the Venthan Bruiser from there. And we do get our first hit in. This actually luckily goes on that unit, which is the one I care least about. And from here, the skill 3 should definitely go for cleanup. If we land the defense break early, well, actually no defense break land at all, but we still were able to clear, which is kind of nice. Well, over here, it's still kind of a bit of a Bruiser fight. If I do get a death break in and you start proccing a lot, it could be fairly dangerous. If we do get the death break in, we are still close on skills over here. We get the additional turn, and then we go for this hit. It is good damage. Like, low-key, it is actually really, really good damage. And nothing so far outside of the bomb that we have seen earlier was actually hard focusing the Gildong. And that makes it pretty doable to get those skills off and to actually deal enough damage. And so far, we're sitting on 7 wins. Not too bad just yet. Hit number 8. This is actually the first one where I really used the buff of the Gildong for helping Gildong as fastest unit. So the idea is we have a Maximilian that I use in RTA. We have the Gildong that's super fast. And that Gildong will boost up this Robo that's actually still violent. It is a little bit on the fast side, I know, but it is still violent. We can boost it up and then we can have the Robo move multiple turns. It is a little bit low on the crit rate, I know, guys, but he had fine stats over there, I would say. So in this case, we can actually hit one thing, boost up the Robo if he was fast. We can push everything back again, or, well, no, in this case, just the dots. There's no pushbacks on that. And then we have pushbacks from this again. So that was, I would say, the first one that actually made a lot of sense. And I would honestly say this is a team that I could use in the future as well. This is the team against that defense that is somewhat meta, that made a lot of sense. 2 more hits to go. And I was thinking about, okay, Hey Gang for extra attack, Adriana on Violent that gives me the buffs, and I kind of hope to get outsped, but maybe I should have used things a little bit slower. And then this Gildong potentially going in for the kill. It is maybe too much of a Bruiser Gildong. This was an offense that I was already feeling like, I'm not too sure about this one, because what if the enemy is slower, and what if the enemy is a lot more tanky than expected? So we do get all of our glance in over here. And we get a death break on the second to last hit, but that thing is actually super tanky right there. Also right here, the hits go on the unit I don't want to be targeted. Same for that one right there, and simply cleans off the Gildong. So not the best of hits right there, but it was one of those hits. If the Asher is fast, I have to counter it, but also if the Asher is slow, I have to counter it. So this is kind of the idea I came to. Heigang plus something plus Gildong. Maybe I should have just simply went for a Heigang plus like a Bludja or something. Heigang, Bludja, Gildong. I think that would have been better in this case. Not knowing what the enemy speed is. So... But then again, it's also still with the Asher boost. Sure, the Heigang will boost you a lot, but are you gonna get enough of a boost if it's super fast and it's on speed, what's it called? Speed increasing effect, because if it's super fast and you're just kind of slow yourself, and you go for the speed increasing effect on both units, then you might still get screwed. So in this case, I right away went for the same clip of going for a different style, and this is actually what I used in previous videos a lot, which was back in the days where I always pretty much used for Siege, Giana and Sierra plus a Gildong. So in this case, it's relatively easy where you can just copy the World Arena runes, which I'm actually doing on both sides. So this is the RTA style of Giana that I'm using these days. And I will do the same thing for the Sierra. I do know that this... Asher is not on Swift. At least it's not faster than what I was showcasing on the Heigang before. So if I add a speed limit with a plus 180, I will definitely outspeed that. And then we just go for the old Gildong of before. We did already lose one. The moment I lose one, I already mostly go for the motivation. Like, I lost one, I can lose another one. It's same for me in Inter-Server Guild Battle, man. Inter-Server Guild Battle, I'm like super try-hard. I even had like 20 damage on Dark on that thing right there as well. But yeah, this thing on the right side, the Gojo was actually super high on tanky stats, which is somewhat common for Gojo. So we do get the outspeed in. We do miss a few bombs over here. Giana is not being that great of a Giana. But what we can do is, why I had that unit faster, we can go for a backup strip, which is kind of nice. And with the backup strip, we can actually land the second bomb. It's still a little bit of a wonky fight if things start like heavy proccing right now, which they are doing. But at least he did not proc into the S3, which would have been the worst skill. Angry Wave is not that bad of a skill as well, because it has stun potential and it has slow. So slow and stun in one skill is actually really nice. We get rotations off with critical error. There's bombs over there, and therefore we will simply clear it from here. So yeah, that was definitely a fun one. It took me a lot of time to actually try to think about teams, because a lot of them had to be pretty creative on like, yo, what works, what doesn't work. And in the end, it was against two guilds that are both top 10 in Siege. So definitely not easy targets to be hitting with a whole bunch of Gildongs. So would I recommend start using Gildong in Siege? I kind of like the one team where he is on the 104 base and he is potentially boosting up a unit that moves right after, plus you have the strip. So you have strip into death break into boost, which there's definitely a few options out there for very specific teams where it could be really nice, especially if you do have the higher lead than the enemy. But then again, it's often also replaced by something else, because there's one big issue that this unit has to deal with, and that is that his base HP and also base defense are near to non-existent. It is definitely a fun unit. It's definitely a budget version of Shiho, because multiple hits. They already gave Shiho like a 20,000 different buffs, but if they decide to give Death Break on this plus the stun, we're doomed. So I don't think they will. However, I had a lot of fun with this siege. I hope you did enjoy this video. Thanks also to the guys that gave me in the comment section the suggestion for going for 10 Gildongs. Once again, if you got any other cool suggestions for World Guild Battle or Siege, let me know in the comments. See you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.